Hi, I'm Dean. I'm just going to make a quick video about saving the world. Um, I've made up a little list of problems in the world at the moment, and I thought I'd offer some solutions. Seems fair enough, right? Some of the things that we have that are broken or wrong in the world at the moment. Now, start at the top. Monsanto. Monsanto is the name of a company who make products to sell so that they can profit from it. Currently, people are protesting against Monsanto and trying to get governments to prohibit Monsanto from being in business. If all the protests in the world are successful, then the governments would be writing laws or closing down Monsanto and stopping them from being in business. The way business works isn't quite like that. You see, a company requires customers to generate money to make products to sell to the customers to profit from that. If the customers aren't giving the money to the business isn't going to sell their products. And if a business can't sell their products, they have two choices. One, they can change the product that they're selling, or two, they can close the door of their business. Government don't need to be involved, protests don't need to be involved, we don't need to be trying to stop this company from trading. Now, obviously they're not making an honest buck, but they're still making a buck, and that's the way the system works. Stop giving them money. Alright? Now we've got bankers and interest and the way that that works. Well, that's a very similar thing. Banking is another business. Interest is the profit that the banking businesses make. So, how do bankers charge interest? Well, bankers charge interest on money that they lend to people. So the people borrow the money from the banks, and the banks want to make profit from it, so they charge interest on that, and that's how they make their money. So what do we do here? Do we protest the government to stop the banks from charging interest? Do we protest the banks and get them to stop doing what they're doing? Or do we stop borrowing money from the banks? If we didn't have to pay back all the bank's money and all the interest, we would have our own money and wouldn't be needing to rely on this control system. Pharmaceutical companies and the medical industry. What do we do here? So there's a lot of drug companies that have bought patents and suppressed patents of cures and treatments for illness, and they replace them with their own synthetic medicines, which have a great deal of side effects and really not medicinal for our body at all. I think medicine's the wrong word to use for medicine. So we all know that these things are bad, but what do? We want to protest the government to make the pharmaceutical companies release their patents. Do we protest the government and get them to wipe the patents and make them publicly available? Do we protest the pharmaceutical companies and tell them to stop doing what they're doing, or do we stop buying their products? What happens to a business when you stop buying their products? Let's go back to the Monsanto thing. Two choices. One, change their product to go out of business. Oil and energy. It's pretty commonly known, funnily enough, that we don't need to be burning oil for energy, and there are many energy alternatives for electricity, as well as you know, machinery, mechanical, transportation type of stuff. Now, free energy has been around for a very, very long time. Giza pyramid. So yeah, very long time we've had free energy. Several thousands of years. More than that. So we know that we can extract energy from the ionosphere, from ions and stuff, as well as water. We can break up water and make some pretty powerful stuff there. So what do we do with this? Do we stop people from drilling for oil? Do we do protests and stop people, stop companies, ships and that sort of thing? Or do we protest to the government and get the government to ban the oil drilling in that area? Or do we try and get the government to put new rules up to say that X amount of energy, electricity generated, has to be renewable? You know, maybe regulating prices. Maybe the government can regulate the price of electricity, so that people aren't paying, you know, $100 or $200 a month for something that's absolutely free and shouldn't be sold. What's the solution there? Make our own. Just make our own. And we don't need it. What do you use electricity for? You know, light bulbs. Well, you shouldn't be awake at night time. You know, cooking, shouldn't be cooking. Electronics, certainly shouldn't be using those. Ironically, you know, crosses over with telecommunications and EMF. We're using these blimmin' electronic devices, and we've got all these bloody radio waves and stuff flying through the air, through our bodies, and these waves are very, very traumatic for our bodies. You know, what do we do there? Do we insist on less cell phone towers, or do we buy do we buy EMF filters? Do we protest the government to stop the phone companies from having so many radiation emitters and that sort of thing? Or maybe we just don't use Wi-Fi. Maybe just stop using Wi-Fi. Why not just do that? If everybody stopped using 3G on their phones and smartphones, what would happen? They would stop making them. Or they would change them. Climate change and pollution, these are pretty big problems. What are the solutions there? Protest the government for reforms for industry, protest the government to change the rules, to add taxes. We demand our government add more tax to polluting companies. Plant more trees. Pollute less. Reality is, climate change is perfectly natural, and we've been going through a very, very abnormal, stable period which has never ever happened on this planet. The stability that we've had over the last 10,000 years since the last ice age has been the most stable ever. That is a problem. Why has the climate not been changing? You know, what can we do to make the climate change and get back to normal? You know, it's all friggin' screwed up. Every other planet in this solar system is going through the same shit. How on earth is that our responsibility as human polluters? So what do we do with climate change and pollution? Well, naturally with the changes in our energy consumption, there would be a great deal less pollution. As far as climate change goes, things change. Just deal with it. You know, adapt. We're masters of adapting. It's, you know, we've got these different teeth, and we've got this digestive system. We can eat wood. We can eat meat of other animals if we have to. You know, we can eat all sorts of things and get some nutrition from it. Obviously, they're not optimal foods, but we can adjust. That's the whole point. That's the type of being we are. We have been specifically designed to be the ultimate being in this universe, and that's not a lie. We can do anything. We are the most powerful creatures that there are, potentially. That's a big secret, by the way. Why all the suppression, eh? Yeah, think about it. So what about the government themselves and all the laws that they're making, all the surveillance and all the, you know, don't use a cell phone in a car sort of thing, or wear your seatbelt and all that sort of crap. You know, what do we do? Do we petition the government to make less laws? Governments don't make less laws, they make more laws. How are they going to justify their jobs if they're not making more and more laws? You know, they're all sitting around in these big rooms getting paid all these big bucks to make new laws. If they weren't making new laws, what would they do for work? What would they do during the day? If government didn't have to make laws, what would they do? What else do they do? Do we need laws? We know right from wrong, don't we? Like, we know don't kill another human. We know don't steal things from other people. We know don't damage stuff that belongs to others, or don't intentionally harm anyone or anything. We know that. We're fucking humans. We know. We know right from wrong. We don't need a corporate system giving us 1,000 different rules that would prevent us from potentially doing something that we already know not to do. Why do people do things that are wrong? That's a whole nother conversation, that one, but it's linked. The suppression system creates criminals. The police state. Well, if you don't want to get in trouble with the police, all you have to do is conform to all the rules. Except every day more and more rules are getting made. What can you do to avoid a police state? You can start by talking to police officers. We all know one. Most of us know a police officer, or have one as a friend of a friend or something like that. Talk to them. Say, hey, look, do you know you're committing treason against your species? Do you know you're betraying your species? Do you know what you're doing to humans? Do you know you're protecting a control system that's suppressing people? Do you know that this control system is going to tell you to shoot your mother in the head, and you're going to have to do it, or else another cop will shoot you in the head? Don't you know that that's your job? Why do a job like that? Have you lost touch with what you are? Don't be a cop. It's not a profession. Military and wars. Well, here we go. Wars. Countries against countries, religions against religions, people against people, economies against economies. It's all battles for the land and more control. Land ownership. Most of it's a distraction, but comes back to the same as the police thing. Soldiers are even more evil than police. All soldiers. There's no such thing as fighting for freedom, and there's no such thing as defending, killing for defense. What's that? Killing before you get killed is okay? No, it's not okay. Stupid. It's ridiculous. So what do? We inform people that are in the military that they're killers. I don't know how else to explain that. You're a professional fucking killer. Don't do that. Isn't it one of the first things that God said? Don't kill? It's not a difficult thing, okay? So don't go take a job as a professional killer. Take a job as a fucking gardener. You know, grow bloody carrots or something. Religion, religious control. What the Vatican does. The Vatican does a lot of bad stuff. In fact, the Vatican has done more bad stuff than any other organization in the history of humanity. Funnily enough, a lot of people think that it's all the work of God and stuff like that. And it is. They're doing the work of God. Except God of the Bible isn't the same one infinite creator that created the universe. But that's another story as well. What do we do with religions? We need to learn that the religions are a control system as well, all based on false doctrines of mind control. Religious people need to research the history of their own religion. Every religion has a very, very dark and seeded history, and honestly, if any person that's a member of any of these religions knew the real history behind their religion, they wouldn't be a part of that religion. So obviously, any person that's part of the religion doesn't actually know what their religion is. They have faith in it, and they believe the control system, but they don't actually know what it's all about. Religious people need to figure out what the basic teachings are of their religion, because you'll find out that the first thing that the religion really teaches is that you don't need a religion. That's kind of the first thing. It's all an internal perception thing. Religions help in a way to teach us how to look inside ourselves, except that's encoded, and the priests and so forth won't tell you how to do that. They will just tell you how to worship outside of you. Worship an external God. Send your energy up. Send your energy out. Send your energy out in prayer. So learn what religions are. Learn history. That's about all I've got on my little list there. There are plenty of other things, but ultimately the solution to all the world's problems is with each individual. Change the way we do stuff. Vote with your wallets. You know, if you don't want Monsanto doing GMO stuff, don't buy it. Grow your own veggies. If your neighbors are buying Monsanto stuff, educate them. Go and have a friggin' cup of tea with them. Take over some fruit, and say, hey, look, you know, there's this company called Monsanto, and they make GMO products, and you're eating it with your cornflakes there, and, well, I'm afraid you're probably going to die from that. So, you know, you just talk to people. It's the people that need to change the way that we as individuals live our lives. We don't need to keep trying to change the system. We don't need a system. We need to be sovereign. We need to be responsible for our own actions. We know right from wrong. Do that. Don't kill people. Don't harm things. Don't destroy things. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Try and be one with nature. Try and not be part of the commerce system. Don't be a part of the money flow. Money flow. The banks on a river direct the flow of the water. money flow, and the money flow always goes up. It's a pyramid scheme. There's a lot of pyramid symbology in their control system. A lot of things are this hierarchy. Pay attention to that. Alright, I've rambled on enough. Thanks for listening. See you later.